Hey everyone, and welcome back to Ontario Cryptids. If you don't already know, I have a Twitter, Instagram, and Reddit account, which is displayed on my YouTube banner. I do try and post other daily events on these accounts other than my weekly episodes. I would like to increase this more in the future, whether it's the raccoon up my tree, which I posted on Twitter and Instagram this past week, or maybe something else that's going on. I also follow some of you who have a YouTube, Twitter, or Instagram account. It's another way of getting to know my subscribers and supporting you who have supported me. What's near and dear to my heart, though, is that I have gotten to know those who have submitted their encounter stories better this past year. Some I've hiked with, others wish they could have hiked, but due to COVID and distance, it was not possible last year. Some have shared their Sasquatch and football passions with me, which I have enjoyed immensely. Others have truly enjoyed the shout-outs, and recently I read on Twitter one of my subscribers telling all his friends to follow and subscribe. Thank you so much for that. So I'm sending you hugs and kisses your way. You know who you are. I could go on and on, but really all I'm trying to say is you guys are so special, and I cannot believe the support I get from all of you on a weekly basis. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Wow, sorry for going on and on, but now let's get to what you've all been waiting for. Today I will be sharing 3 stories with you all, and they are all from North America. I hope you all enjoy. So go grab yourself a beverage and let's get cozy on the couch or chair and sit back and relax. This first story takes place either July or August of 1975 in Leedsville, Colorado, Lake County, somewhere in the neighborhood of Turquoise Lake, west of Leadville. Hello there. I lived 7 years in Leedsville back in the 1970s, and that town has a long history of Bigfoot sightings. While living there, I was involved in several related situations. One of my foster sons was employed for a time with the U.S. Forest Service there, working in the sign's maintenance shop. They had quite a rash of Forest Service signs being ripped down. If you are familiar with the signs they use, they are constructed of massive timber and quite sturdy. Some of the signs were over 8 foot off the ground to the top, yet they had been torn down with apparent ease. At first, they suspected local teenagers or possibly bears as being responsible. To make it more difficult for the vandals, the Forest Service put a thick layer of grease along the top of some of the signs. Within days, one of the signs was vandalized again. The grease on the top of the damaged sign show a huge human-like handprint. A few weeks after that, we decided to go on a late-night cruise in the area where the damage had taken place, just a mile or 2 below Turquoise Lake west of Leadville. The dirt road we followed had a steep drop off to the stream on the left. To the right was a large open sagebrush meadow with thick timber behind. A large boulder, at least 15 feet tall, was in the middle of the meadow. We stopped on the road above the stream and were visiting when we heard something sloshing in the water below our vehicle. We trained the spotlight on the area. The sloshing stopped, only to start up again when the lights was turned off. A few minutes later, we spotted a large figure run across the road about 100 yards in front of our headlights. We also heard heavy footsteps crushing the sagebrush. We immediately drove to the spot where we had seen the creature and checked for footprints. No footprints or tracks were found, but a trail of mashed sagebrush led towards the tree line. We swung the spotlight around in the area just in time to catch a glimpse of a dark primate about 7 to 8 feet tall cross in front of the aforementioned boulder and disappeared in the dense forest behind the meadow. Man, it certainly sounds like this Sasquatch or Bigfoot did not like your signs at all, or didn't like the signs being placed in their area. All right, great story. Now on to story number 2. All right, this story takes place November of 1988 between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. in Oscoda County, Michigan. I was 9 years old at the time. My grandfather owns a large amount of land in Glennie, Oscoda County. It is a wooded terrain with some swampy areas. The land in the account I've submitted is vast. My grandfather bought a long time ago when he was very young and acres were very inexpensive. My family goes up there to hunt and relax in the forest. There are many trails and we always take our three-wheelers. I remember one day we went out on the trails to ride around and my dad's cousin got stuck somehow, and I was riding on the back of our three-wheeler with my mom driving. I remember looking to my left and seeing this very large creature. It was probably 7 foot tall and was very hairy all over, like stringy hair. And I did not see its face, just the back of it walking very sloth-like into the forest. No one else saw this, unfortunately. At the time of the occurrence, the rest of the group was engrossed in the attempt to free my dad's cousin's three-wheeler that was stuck. I remember being so terrified that I just buried my face into my mom's back and holding on to her for dear life. When I told my mom and dad about what I saw, of course they laughed me off and said that I was just a kid. I will never forget what I saw. The image is forever burned in my memory. The animal was a very tall and had long arms, almost sloth-like. Its entire body was covered in long, stringy hair. I did not see its face. The moment that I saw the creature, it was turning and walking back into the forest. I have told my husband and he says he believes me, but my parents tell me not to tell the story to friends because they don't want people to think I'm crazy. I now know that I'm not, and I am so glad to have found your site and to see that there have been other sightings in Oscoda County, Michigan. I have told friends and family members. Some believe me and some don't. Well, that's a very interesting story, and it is so sad that parents don't often take into account what their children see. Why would a child make up that they're seeing this hairy creature in the forest and is so terrified of it? It just doesn't make sense. I think parents need to take the time to listen more to what their children are seeing. Or perhaps maybe the parents know that these things exist and they're trying not to embellish on it to scare their kids even more. I don't know. Who knows? But anyways, let's carry on to story number 3. All right, this is the last story of the day, and this takes place on August 11th through to the 13th of 2006 in Haliburton, Ontario. Hello. I don't really want to talk to any person about this because it truly boggles my mind, and I guess I'm wondering if anyone else has seen any tracks or heard anything in Haliburton, Ontario, Canada. This occurred the weekend after the tornadoes came, which would be after the second weekend on August 2nd, 2006, which would make it August 11th through the 13th of 2006. My family and my friend and 2 sons came up for the weekend of relaxation. We had many trees gone down on the property, so we were burning many cut-up trees. Well, anyways, my dog Charlie started to act skittish, which honestly is not unusual for him. My girlfriend C said, "Do you smell that?" And I responded, "Since the storm, we'd smelled it occasionally, like a human feces smell." Charlie started to growl, so we turned in the direction he was facing, which was around D's cottage, northwest from the lake. He then cowered and went under my husband's chair as we talked about maybe a bear was in the neighborhood. We then heard a loud crack like an animal stepping on a branch breaking, and Charlie did not move. Ironically, our other dog, who had died this spring, would have went to investigate. Anyhow, I put on the lights, high beams, into the back of our property, which was where the smell and cracking sound seemed to emit from. There was absolutely nothing. The next morning, I woke to let Charlie outside. Charlie and the neighbor's dog went hell-bent for leather all over the back property, playing and bouncing all around. I then realized my friend had to give her son a shot of insulin. It was 7 a.m. After she did this, I put on coffee and she wanted to smoke. We went out to the side towards the hill behind our cottage. She looked down and said, "Holy cow, you have a Sasquatch." I looked and seen 2 huge footprints and immediately thought my neighbor who walks around barefoot had done it. Carol said, "If he was Frodo, I think you'd be right." I didn't say much and threw a piece of cardboard the boys had used for target practice over one track. Later, my husband came out and I showed the print, and he wears a size 12, and he was able to place his whole foot in the track, and it did not reach the ends or the sides. I sort of freaked, and that smell was still there. Anyways, I started checking for sightings in the Haliburton area and have found some in Ontario, but way to the north of us. There has been other weird things like a large fish found on our property with only 1 bite taken out of them. And of course, my old dog Bandit went after it like no other. So what put it there? Are these creatures in Haliburton? We are near the airport and there is a remote lake land north of us. I mentioned to my few close friends about this incident, and now they and myself don't really want to go up there. I truly am thinking about selling the property and even had a real estate agent come out in September of 2006. We have acres as well as waterfront, and I loved it until now. Why has no person up there mentioned anything? One of our friends, D, a local who uses our property, said he has seen bear, moose, elk, deer, and fox on our land. I'm really torn whether to say anything or not to him. I don't want to be ridiculed. The one friend I have told me of an incident that had her whole family wandering up at Eels Lake in the Kawarthas north of Peterborough. She said she's heard commotion in the forest. I asked her, what did it sound like? She said it sounded like a dinosaur. Anyways, I really don't know what came through my property, but whatever it was, I never want to meet it. Wow, this is really sad because this family is now thinking of selling their property, or who knows, maybe it's already sold because this occurred in 2006 and it is now 2021. But what is sad about this is it sounds like they have a beautiful parcel of land up there and they have a large variety of wildlife going through there. And I mean, a bear isn't a safe creature to have living around you. Neither is a moose or an elk. I mean, mooses can be very dangerous. So it is sad that they're selling the property because they now think they have a Sasquatch living in or around the parcel of land that they own. Very, very sad. I think people need to be aware that anywhere you're going to go out of a city that is surrounded by forest or national parklands, etc., you're gonna come across I shouldn't say you're gonna come across, but there's a good possibility that you may come across Sasquatches. These, as they used to say way back when, these hairy people, wild men living in the forest. So very sad that they're thinking of giving up their beautiful property to because of that. I mean, I would love to own a cottage up north. It's always been a dream to have one. Not, who knows if it's ever going to happen, at least not in the remote future. But I don't think I would move if they're there. I mean, you kind of have to respect and think that they would be there. And I do know that there are a lot more sightings in Haliburton that maybe she didn't come across, but that I've come across during my research, for this channel. So they're there. And as you saw, Haliburton is quite a beautiful area. It has a lot of wetlands, like little pockets of lakes, very wooded, and some rocky outcrops. It's very nice, nice area. Anyways, wow, that's gonna end it for today. Sorry I went on a little bit of a rant there, but I do find it sad that somebody would give up some pristine countryside because they're in fear of a, like I said, a wild man or a wild family living out there in the woods. So on that note, if this sparked a memory or an incident you may have had, then please forward your encounter stories to OntarioCryptids@gmail.com, and I would be more than happy to share your story. And all I can say now is I hope you all have a fantastic Sunday, and we'll see you all next week.